choosing to leave behind everything in pursuit of their personal goals. Human teenagers Izayoi Sakamaki, Asuka Kudo, and Yo Kusakabe are transported to an alternate reality, the Little Garden, where different races with different powers or gifts reside. There, they meet Black Rabbit, a Kemonomimi girl with rabbit ears, making her a judge master that enforces rules and order due to being servants of the Little Garden's creator. She explains the place's logic to them. The Little Gardens revolve around gift games that challenge players with games of varying danger while battling something in exchange for rewards if they win, with the rules written on gaze scrolls that are absolute and unchanging. Black Rabbit also invites them into her own community of players. Making their way to a rural village in the east, Black Rabbit leaves Asuka and Yo with her community's leader, Jin, after noticing that Izayoi separated from them in search of fun. As the rest wait for Black Rabbit and Izayoi's return over some drinks, they're approached by a mysterious man. Asuka, Yo, and Jin are confronted by Galdo Gasper, a man who is the leader of a community named Ferris Garo, and invites the girls to join his community along with Black Rabbit. To convince them, he makes fun of how Jin's community was forced to become a no-name after losing an undeniable challenge from the tyrannical demon lords of the Little Garden, resulting in the community losing their formal name and banner. This has left the remaining members to be Jin, Black Rabbit, and around 120 children with ages 10 and below, making winning their banner and name back difficult. At the same time, Black Rabbit, finding Izayoi after he defeats a water god, explains their situation to him in hopes the three can help. Izayoi, liking the idea to fight stronger opponents, agrees. Asuka, suspicious of Galdo's claim that his community has won all gift games that involve staking their banner, uses her gift to command him to reveal how. It turns out that Galdo has kidnapped women and children from other communities to subdue and blackmail them into doing their bidding. However, breaking his promises and killing them all off eventually. Infuriated, the girls challenge him to a gift game the next day. After Izayoi and the Black Rabbit reunite with the others, the group visits Shiroyasha, a demon lord from the Thousand Eyes, an extremely large trade community, to appraise the children's gifts. Unlike others of her kind, Shiroyasha has chosen to use her strength for peace, becoming the floor master or guardian of the east side of the Little Garden. They decide to challenge her to a gift game that Yo wins by befriending a griffin and overcoming its trial, using her gift of taking the powers of other animals she had befriended to ultimately save herself. From Shiroyasha, the three learn that they come from different times on Earth, and earn gift cards that can store their gifts and list their names, with Izayoi stating unknown. By beating the water god, Izayoi receives an endless water supply from a water tree that he lets the no-names use, after which Asuka borrows a dress from Black Rabbit that gives its wearer an additional aura of protection. That same night, Galdo's subordinates infiltrate the no-names territory, but are found by Izayoi, revealing that all the hostages have already been killed and claiming that Jin can defeat all the demon lords. Although the latter disagrees with the idea, Izayoi reasons that although the demon lords and other communities would attack them, the plan would gain them fame and communities who would be against the demon lords. When he speaks ill of some of their former members that were disloyal to No Name, Jin tells Izayoi that a former demon lord and comrade is now being wagered as a prize for a soon-to-be-held gift game. Izayoi promises to save that comrade if Asuka, Yo, and Jin can win the gift game tomorrow. The next day, all of them are brought to Galdo's residence, which has been newly revamped with a tangling creeper forest and beastification magic. The rules, however, handicap the three to be unable to use their gifts, forcing them to defeat Galdo instead using a designated weapon. After being confronted by Galdo, who has turned into a demon tiger despite originally being a tiger that can assume a human form, Jin deduces from the surrounding magic to be of vampire and demon nature, suspecting the involvement of another party. Recognizing their designated weapon to be a cross-sword speared in the wall, Yo distracts Galdo and Asuka orders Jin to run away alone first, however inadvertently carting herself off with him. When Yo returns injured and collapses, Asuka returns to the residence, sets the place on fire, and lures him out into the forest. She uses the creepers in restraining Galdo, commands the sword to give her its power, and kills him, winning the game. This causes all of his slaves to be freed before Jin's vow to take down the demon lords, arranging the vampire who cast the curse on Galdo. Bringing Yo back to their territory, an unnamed man with black and blonde hair arrives at Shiroyasha's place. While Yo continues to recover, Black Rabbit discusses with Izayoi about their next step to rescue Leticia Draculaire, a pure-blood vampire who was the former demon lord and comrade Jin previously talked about. However, their conversation is interrupted by the vampire who assisted Galdo, when Black Rabbit goes to make tea, who is none other than Leticia herself. She apologizes for causing them trouble as she only wished to know the extent of the children's powers, but concludes that their gifts are too unrefined to manage the community and wants Black Rabbit to disband it as the gift game wagering her had been cancelled. Leticia's owner, the blonde-haired, black-haired man at Shiroyasha's place, named Luios Perseus, decides to attack the no-names using a gorgon that can turn people to stone when hit by its rays, much to the latter's chagrin. Leticia sacrifices herself to protect Asuka, after Black Rabbit discovers she had lost all of her divinity and become an ordinary vampire instead during a gift game with Izayoi. Members of the Luios community, Perseus, are sent to retrieve her, and Izayoi stops Black Rabbit from attacking them, choosing to speak with Luios instead at Shiroyasha's. Instead of betting Black Rabbit on the line, they choose to challenge Perseus to a duel after Izayoi earns titles from winning against legendary monsters like the Kraken and Greyae, giving them the right to challenge any community to a gift game despite being a no-name. The gift game involves invading Luios' fortress, and only those who can reach him without being detected win, lest they lose their rights to challenge him. However, the guards all have invisibility gifts from Hades' replica helmets, with Luios himself holding Leticia's gifts. With those rules in mind, Izayoi comes up with a plan of having Asuka distract most of the guards using the water tree, while Yo gives way to him and Jin as they sneak past them. Yo helps Izayoi and Jin obtain one of the replicas and steal the real Hades helm using echolocation. Instead of confronting them, Luios unleashes his trump card, Algol the Gorgon, a former demon lord under his control, turning all outside the Colosseum into stone, and attacks Izayoi, who easily overpowered it with his strength and defeats it by destroying its gift with his unknown ability. Although Luios admits defeat and relinquishes Leticia, Izayoi gives him a chance to fight back in a fist fight, raising the stakes of the game where Perseus has to wager their banner when they lose. He exiles Luios from being a part of the Thousand Eyes League, taking down their banner, the Perseus constellation, from the night sky. Leticia returns to the no-name community as a maid as gratitude for saving her. They celebrate together. Izayoi vows to put their banner in the sky as well. Their celebration is interrupted by a letter from an unknown sender. Asuka remembers her days of confinement in the mundane boarding school, where no one could defy her, prompting her to choose to enter the little garden. Waking up, they find that Black Rabbit has been trying to keep a secret, an invitation to the nativity of the Salamandra Festival on Salamandra, located in the northeast district of the northern region, in celebration of the coronation of their new leader, 11-year-old Sandra Dortlake, who is also a friend of Jin. Finding out that there will be gift games involved, despite the high traveling costs, Yo, Asuka, and Izayoi run away to the festival with Jin and a little fox girl named Lily, after leaving a note behind to Black Rabbit, threatening to leave the community should she not catch them in a day. Seeking Shiroyasha's help in getting to Salamandra, Yo is caught by Black Rabbit as Izayoi and Asuka escape to the festival grounds as a chase ensues. Black Rabbit is challenged to a game where the winning party can order the loser to do any one thing of their choice. After Izayoi brings down a building that leads the game to a draw, military policemen of Salamandra, led by Sandra's brother, Mandra, arrive to confront them. Meanwhile, Asuka espies a lost fairy and decides to chase it, with Leticia following her closely. While with Shiroyasha, Yo is invited to participate in a gift game tournament known as Battle of the Creators, passing the preliminaries to advance to the finals. Since no one got hurt during the game between Black Rabbit and Izayoi, Sandro decides to let them go unpunished, to Mandra's disappointment in his hatred to the no-names. As an additional punishment, Shiroyasha requests that they protect Sandra by slaying the demon lord mentioned in the prophecy of the Laplace's demon. Meanwhile, Asuka gets on good terms with the fairy from a community called Rottenfogner, going to an art exhibit where she is amazed by an armor made by the community themselves. However, she is attacked by rats that she cannot control, having to be saved by Leticia instead. During a meeting, Shiroyasha lets Black Rabbit judge the Battle of Creators the following day. Upon announcement of the remaining participants' communities, Asuka is surprised to see the Rattenfanger in the list beside No Name, Salamandra, and Will-o'-the-Wisp. Shiroyasa explains that the Rattenfanger, the one who manipulates rats, is related to a community called the Pied Piper of Hamelin, who once worked under a demon lord that summoned 200 demons and led a community called Grim Grimoire, which got disbanded after losing in a gift game. Jin further explained the relation of the Pied Piper to the Rattenfanger, detailing its history as being the same person, since Rattenfanger is just a German word for Pied Piper. After figuring out its roots, everyone concludes that with the assistance of Rattenfanger, the demon lord of Grim Grimoire will attack at the nativity of the salamander. As they dismiss their meeting, Shiroyasha cautions everyone to be on their guard for any spy from Rattenfanger and protect Sandra, making Asuka doubt the identity of the little fairy with her. The Battle of the Creators begins, where Yo is pitted against Asha Ignis Fatus from the Will-o'-the-Wisp community and their greatest gift, Jack-o'-lantern, much to Asuka's delight of seeing him for the first time. Faced with an immortal demon, Yo surrenders, although she could ask someone for help from her community, not wanting to rely on others. Just then, black chaos rolls start falling from the sky, inviting everyone to join a game. The aim of the game forces players to break the false lore and expose the true legend, as well as forming a barrier around Shiroyasha that hinders her participation in the game. Above the arena are members of the community, the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Izaoyoi, hoping to find their leader, randomly picks an opponent and ends up fighting Weser, the embodiment of the Weser River from the fairy tale. Leticia and Sandra also battle against Pest, a demon lord of the Black Plague in the story, as Asuka, Yo, and Jin try to figure out the cause of Shiroyasha's inability to join the game. Ratten, the embodiment of rats from the story and the one who attacked Asuka in the art exhibit, gains control over the citizens of Salamandra using her flute. Asuka makes Jin and Yo run away, wanting to beat Ratten, but loses and is lost. As chaos reigns over Salamandra, Black Rabbit uses her authority as Judge Master to put the game on hold and ask both parties to have a meeting. The no-names try to confirm the details of the game from Pest, who is also the community leader and the game's host, but the rules are confirmed to be just and being followed due to the lack of details. While trying to find a schedule to resume the game, Pest reveals that she is spreading pathogens throughout the city to make people ill, threatening the no-names to join their community Grim Grimoire of Hamelin if they want to live. Deducing that it is a new community wanting more manpower, Izaoyoi bends the rules to allow Black Rabbit to participate in the game as well, postponing the game to a week's time. Meanwhile, Asuka is being held captive in a dark cave along with the little fairy. When she regains consciousness, the lost souls of the 130 children that died in the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin appear, asking Asuka to help them end the false lore of the Rattenfanger in exchange for their armor, Dean, if she can make it submit to her in a game. After 4 days, Yo and the citizens of Salamandra are feeling the symptoms of the Black Plague. Izaoyoi visits Yo in her room to help her alleviate her boredom, trying to find out the truth behind the fairy tale. Due to them all being summoned from different timelines, many things happen differently, but there would be some unchanged. Although there would still be the question of whether the Pied Piper of Hamelin they are facing is the same story they know as the Black Plague, is unable to kill the children in the story in a limited time, which creates a contradiction. Remembering that the Black Plague occurred in the 14th century after the Little Ice Age due to the weakening of the sun, and that Shiroyasha has control over the sun's activity, he realizes that the prerequisite for the game will not be met if she joins the game, since the Black Plague, which is a necessary part of the game, will not be able to occur when the sun is active. Izaoyoi also recalls the stained glass depicting the Pied Piper of Hamelin scattered across the town in the story. Following the riddle, they should break all the stained glass except for the one that depicts the true legend behind the Pied Piper. At the day of the game, Izaoyoi and the other members scatter around Salamandra, breaking stained glass of the false lore. The Grim Grimoire of Hamelin summons the village of Hamelin in a panic, changing the locations of the stained glasses and doubling their powers. Weser, with his divinity activated, tries to take on Izaoyoi. Black Rabbit and Sandra fight hand in hand against Pest, while Jin and the others fight against Ratten and the Storms, her ceramic monsters. Just then, Asuka saves them with Dean at her command. Izaoyoi continues to fight against Weser and the real Pied Piper of Hamelin, revealing that the Pied Piper of Hamelin appeared during the time the Black Plague was getting weak, and that the others were added later, and were modeled after Black Plague, ultimately provoking Weser to fight and be defeated. Meanwhile, using Dean, Asuka battles against Ratten's Storms and wins despite allowing her to play one additional song to control Dean. To buy time, Pest tells Sandra and Black Rabbit of her identity as the embodiment of the resentment and revengeful nature of the 80 million people that died from the Black Plague, wanting to have revenge on the sun, and hence Shiroyasha. Sensing her two comrades' death, her patience snaps, spreading a dark red wind of plague that kills anyone it touches. To stop the never-ending flow of sickness, Black Rabbit transports the fighters to the Moon Palace, the Chandra Mall, weakening Pest's power. Asuka commands the full potential of the Spear of Indra that Black Rabbit lent her to defeat Pest, thereby ending the game. After the battle, Asuka meets with the children, who tell Asuka of another interpretation of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. In the story, the 130 children left their parents' homes to follow the Pied Piper to a city where they would build their own community. Deciding to return to their time, they leave her in charge of Dean and their 131st member, the little fairy that Asuka names Marun. In Salamandra's palace, Izayoi confirms his claims to Mandra that Salamandra had invited the demon lord Pest to the festival, staging her defeat, which can concrete Sandra's claim to her position as Salamandra spreads the news of their victory against the demon lord. With no excuse for the actions, Mandra lets Izayoi take his life in exchange for that Sandra is kept unknowing, but Izayoi tells him that he would rather let Salamandra be the first to aid them in their time of need instead. At the no-name community, everyone attempts to refertilize their land with the help of Marin and Dean. In the midst of happy toil, a letter floats down before Izayoi with a mysterious seal on top. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading lots of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.